Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and expert in Warner Brothers Discovery. I've done more than 100 videos on Warner Brothers Discovery in the last 4 months, and now we're talking about how the DC brand could be becoming toxic. From Den of Geek. Let's get into the article. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. You guys are great. The channel is growing, more than 4,000 subscribers. Is the DC brand becoming toxic? There are already some worrying signs ahead for fan interest in DC Studios as James Gunn appears poised to reset large swaths of the DC universe. We wouldn't blame him if James Gunn is wondering right now if there's an idea for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4 based on how his first 2 months as co-CEO of DC Studios has been going. Gunn and partner Peter Safran officially started in their jobs on November 1st, tasked by Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav with revamping and rebooting the company's occasionally lucrative DC Comics cinematic universe after a troubled near decade at the multiplex has led to some triumphs, a whole lot of failures, a fractured and incoherent slate of films, and a bitterly divided fan base. And at least the initial response in the press to their hiring was overwhelmingly positive. Based on recent events, however, the pair have had their work cut out for them. Before they can even start to produce and release the films and TV shows that they're developing, there are still 4 more DC movies on the schedule for 2023. There will actually be a total of 5 movies coming out before James Gunn DCU reboot titles start coming out. And that's where the trouble seems to be. Online movie ticket seller Fandango released a survey conducted among users of the top 10 most anticipated blockbusters. Of course, that's assuming they make blockbuster money of next year. Of the 10, only 1 was a DC film, Aquaman and Lost Kingdom, which came in at number 6. The top 3 films on the list in order: Gunn's own Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Sony's Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, and Peyton Reed's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, 2 MCU films, and 1 Marvel adjacent movie. On a smaller list of the top 5 most anticipated superhero films, the top 4 were all Marvel, with the Marvels landing at number 4, which didn't make the top 10 list whatsoever, Brie Larson's movie, behind the 3 already mentioned above, and Aquaman 2 coming in at number 5. Nowhere to be found on either list DC's efforts Shazam! Fury of the Gods, Blue Beetle, and the now problem-plagued $200 million The Flash, which is getting a Super Bowl commercial. And this is why I think, and you can let me know please in the comments below, do you think the DC brand is toxic? I've been noticing in my comments some very angry people, very disappointed with the removal of Henry Cavill as Superman when we were told just a month or so ago that Henry Cavill was going to be Superman in the DCU. Now we're told he's not going to be because of James Gunn's young Superman. It just doesn't seem to make sense. People are not excited about what's going on with the DCU. The Flash is getting an enormous first look, and here's when. After 17 years, Warner Brothers aired a commercial during the Super Bowl, which is going to cost them somewhere between $6-7 million. It's a lot of money just to have a Super Bowl commercial. They're spending the money. I'm not hearing people excited about Ezra Miller. I'm also hearing people are not excited about Aquaman 2 because of Amber Heard's contribution to the movie. This is a problem. And the brand, I do think it is becoming toxic, but let me know what you guys think in the comments below. The question thus becomes, has the arguably lousy quality of several recent DCEU releases, Wonder Woman 1984, terrible, Zack Snyder's Justice League, not that bad, I liked Wonder Woman in that movie, and Black Adam, turned off to this particular film universe? Also, while the general public may not be as aware of the intricate details as the recent drama involving James Gunn and Safran's alleged scrapping of most of the remaining elements and cast members from the Snyderverse iteration of DC, the continued toxic behavior of bereaved DC fans on social media, and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's very visible attempt to commandeer the DC canon just made even casual fans throw up their hands and give up. I don't consider, of course I'm reading this article, I don't consider fans ever to be toxic. That whole expression of toxic fans to me is a complete misnomer, slanderous. It's a slur, a way to try to get people to not want to be associated with criticizing film studios. You're welcome. This is America, baby. You can criticize whatever you want to criticize. I think all the people that love what Zack Snyder did with the DC characters have an absolute right to say, hey, We like that and fight for that and push for that. That's why you got the Zack Snyder's version of Justice League in the first place. So I think that fans, especially people buying things, they have a right to say if they like something or they don't like something. And you're lucky that people care enough about the content. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. You're lucky people care enough about your content that they want to even comment on it at all. A lot of stuff doesn't have the benefit of even being commented on. All of this came to a head in the embarrassing spectacle surrounding Henry Cavill's brief return as Superman in the mid-credits scene of Black Adam. The whole thing was apparently willed into existence by Johnson, and it was. The Rock made Henry Cavill return as Superman, but it wasn't necessarily with the full approval of the studio. He just kind of forced it into happening by being focused and really wanting it badly. He was intent on setting up, at the very least, his own corner of the DC universe in which his Black Adam and Henry Cavill's Kal-El could go mano a mano. So he also incorporated in the Justice Society into Black Adam, which I was wondering when I'm watching this, like, why are you putting an entire superhero team into this anti-hero's story? Because Black Adam is an anti-hero. What are you doing introducing a whole superhero team? It was because that made those characters basically a spin-off of anything that happened from Black Adam. So as a producer of Black Adam, as The Rock is, he would have participation and control over those characters at least for several years. He was building a business there. That was with Walter Hamada as, the head of DC Studios at the time. So he did what he did, but it didn't work out in this new management. But Gunn and Safran had other plans, telling Cavill just 2 months later that his services were no longer required and telling Johnson a short time later that his wouldn't be either, with some reports suggesting Black Adam stands to lose as much as $150 million from Warner Brothers, and that has been disputed. And there's recently been another release. I don't even know how to cover this stuff anymore and talk about it. Supposedly, Black Adam could have had $70 million worth of reshoots, and that would have increased its budget to $270 million. I don't see how that's realistic because we know the reshoots were just really Henry Cavill. So Henry Cavill got $250,000 for his role as Superman in Black Adam at the end credits. I mean, what could they have spent? They didn't spend $70 million. They spent $90 million making all of the Batgirl movie and throwing it away. You didn't spend $70 million on reshoots. That just doesn't make any sense. And if they did, that was horrendously mismanaged and was ridiculous. I don't think they did. Maybe they spent $5 million on reshoots. How could you spend that? With Cavill and Johnson out, Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 canceled, and the fate of Snyderverse characters members Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller uncertain, although Gunn has denied rumors that all of the old guard will be recast. A number of fans online, many of them still clinging to the hopeless restore the Snyderverse quest. No offense to Snyderverse people. It's not going to happen now with Gunn in charge. We know that now. Have already begun calling for Gunn's head, often in typically classless terms. Well, go ahead. I mean, if you want to tell people what you think, that's what this country is all about. Tell them what you think. Gunn himself has addressed the issue in a Twitter thread earlier this week, saying that he and Safran were aware that certain fans could be uproarious and unkind, to say the least, while adding disrespectful outcry will never ever affect our actions. The big problem, though, with James Gunn, and it's fine, he's right, if you're angry about something, it doesn't mean they're going to change their mind, no matter how angry you get. But what Gunn is not doing is he's not communicating professionally and respectfully to the fans and the customers of the DCU. He does need to make sure that DC Studios is making announcements about casting, not individual actors. And when you have, from a studio perspective, the announcement that Henry Cavill is going to be Superman, and then 2 months later, now he's not going to be Superman, people are very disappointed and they feel misled, because the communication skills are so poor at DC Studios. At least it seems that way. This really needs attention. And it's you can't criticize how people are being felt misled, but you're misleading them. That's not fair. It's not appropriate. Let's face facts. The DC Universe, as previously configured, was broken, with 3 different actors playing Batman in already released or upcoming films, plus different iterations of characters like Joker, Superman, Flash, and others scattered across both big and small screen, and almost none of it moving forward in a cohesive fashion. David Zaslav had the right to say, quote, "We're gonna blow this up and start all over again." What do you think of his other creative and commercial decisions are another matter. The problem is basically this. Marvel has a built-in audience who is willing to buy. 80% of them say they will watch anything Marvel. That is what DC wants. DC doesn't have that. DC has something like 67% or something through the same survey of people are willing to watch DC films, anything DC. That is the value of having a universe, whether it's a comic book universe or cinematic universe. When people say, I will buy anything associated with your brand, that is extremely powerful and worth a tremendous amount of money. That is what the Zaslav team wants, and that's why they're trying to slim everything down and focus everything into being a coherent universe for films, TV shows, and animation. Not the comics, but everything but the comics. By anointing Gunn and Safran as the creators handed that assignment, he has given them the mandate to do whatever they think is necessary to right the sinking ship. If that involves wiping the slate clean and beginning with a blank slate, so be it. They should at the very least be given the chance to make their case. As Gunn himself has said, you might not like or agree with all of their decisions, but it's their decisions to make. Clearly things were not working before this. But what remains to be seen is whether the public at large, as well as the more dedicated fans, are tired of all the reboots, the changes, the failures, the bullying, the harassment, and the second guessing, and if the combination of all that's damned DC to the fandom zone no matter what. At the moment, it would seem interest is waning at dangerous rates in the 4 remaining DCEU movies due out next year. Convincing an audience afterward that the next one will be better can be a tricky proposition. Ask Gunn, who made a terrific Suicide Squad movie in 2021, after the artistically compromised original in 2016. He had the goods, but getting folks to see them turned out to be the hardest part. Let me know what you think of this, though, in the comments below. Do you think the DC brand is becoming toxic? It's starting to feel that way. People should be excited about The Flash. They're not so excited. People should be excited that there are 5 more DCU movies coming, well, the DCEU movies technically, coming out, but they're not really that excited. People are angry about Aquaman 2. This is something that James Gunn and Peter Safran need to address. They need to reach out to the public and make them understand what's going on and get people to buy into whatever their passion is. Because if people don't buy into their passion, all they're buying into and looking at is saying, you know, I don't care about Marvel anymore. Why should I care about DCU either? Let me know what you think of that in the comments below. I really appreciate your comments. You guys have really amazing insight, and it really directs towards what I'm going to do next. It makes me kind of reflect. It gives me new ideas. I really appreciate you. You're really helping me build the channel, not just with subscriptions and with watching the shows, but also your comments. Thanks again for that. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I promise I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.